All right. Hey, what's going on there, DIY Lemma? Johnny, how you doing? Let's see here, Dilemma. That's Joe, right? So we can get a little more speed here. Oh, he's actually gonna be good. We're gonna bring up that tailstock just so, if we can. Might need to move this around. Yep. Well, it's good to see you, Joe. I thought that was it, but all right. I'm gonna bring you guys in a little closer. There. You guys should have pretty good view. It's gonna take a few while I get this thing round. Hardly even made a dent in that. I have done several segmented bowls. They're actually one of my favorite things to do. I'm going to turn you guys here so you can kind of see what I'm dealing with. And the pile that's over there, that's all came from a neighbor, which I have got to get rough turned, otherwise it's going to start cracking here. So that's why I've been working this stuff more. But yeah, I love doing segmented turnings. And my wife likes it when I do the segmented turnings. So it's win-win. About to give one a try? Oh yeah. That's a lot of overhang. Hey, Palato, how you doing, sir? I do not remember my hiragana enough to pronounce that name, but welcome. All right. David Nichols, welcome in. Johnny, I saw you were doing some more threading. That was a nice little threaded lid you'd done there. All right, I think we might be able to pull that back. See how we're doing here. We got a ways to go to get that round. I think this one here I'm going to do a recess on. Practice, yeah, man, but it's looking good. It's looking real good. All right, for anybody watching or doesn't know, this is wet wood, meaning it was recently cut down, which is why I can get real long streamers like that. Wet wood is some of the most fun wood to turn. This is a mystery wood, came from my neighbor. He had a tree cut down, and we're going to go ahead and get this round and keep working at it. See how close we are. Still got some flat spots, but we're getting there. What do you recommend the diameter segmented bowl I start out with? I do not have one of those stabilizer rings. I have watched a lot. Oh yeah, Gary over at the Papa, he is awesome. You can. First one I ever did was actually pretty close to this size. So I used half-inch segments, and there's calculators. Just do a Google search for a segmented bowl calculator, and it'll tell you the width to use. If you haven't made what we call a wedgie sled, oh, I don't even know where mine is at the moment. Well, anyway, a wedgie sled helps you set that angle. Typically, you're going to make 12 segments, 15 degrees each side, and glue them together, stack them up. You can make it as big or as small as you want. I'd start small. The bigger you get, the more dangerous it gets. Ganesh, how's it going? Haven't made the wedgie sled yet? On Amazon, they sell plastic triangles. I think they're for sewing or quilting or something like that. But the angles are perfect. So if you use that, you line your two fences up to it, and it'll be perfect. Makes it a lot easier than. I'm going to move you guys a little bit so maybe you can see this a little better. So this is what I was talking about with the wet wood and the way it flies. See if we can get in here and get this going. I don't know how that looked on camera. Bring you back up out of the firing line. I think we are not quite round yet. Nope. You can kind of hear it when it's not round yet. You kind of get that th noise. So as I'm cutting this outside edge, you can probably see there's a gap right there. We call that cut and air. And then it picks up again, so it makes that kind of, like I said, that sort of noise. We'll get through it though here in a sec. Just about there. You know, oh, still just that little touch right there at the end. That is a beautiful finish, though. Raja, how you doing, sir? Hey, Suzanne, welcome in. There we go. That should be perfectly round. If you're seeing this here, this is why I slow down as I'm about to come out the end of the cut to try to keep that from blowing out the way it did. Virendra, welcome in. You guys a little zoom in here. Came out my cut. So that's turning out pretty darn good. Yep, if you guys are enjoying this sort of stuff, I'm often out here late night turning. Do the YouTube stuff, hit the like, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and hopefully we'll see you again. Still got a slight hump in the center. There we go. Now we want to expand into this cut. Get you guys over here, give you a decent view. And we're just going to use the Easy Wood tool to make that. You got to come up a little bit. When you use an Easy Wood tool, it should go down flush and should be at center. You can see there I'm cutting a little below. And then I've got a little guide here, give me an idea on where I need to be. So that's how far down my jaws can close. Easy Wood tools like speed. And my jaws are dovetails. So we just use our skew. To cut that dovetail. Get this guy off of here. That's the wormwood screw that I was using. Again, this wood, if I had to guess, I think it was elm. I think that was our best guess. Oh, that wormwood screw is stuck. Go here, use the vise. It's really in there. Of course, when you watch most of the videos on YouTube, you never get to see this part. Ripping the wormwood screw out. And then you're still not going to be able to see it like that. Randy Ridge, how you doing? Thanks for coming in. There we go. So that is a wormwood screw. Just drill a hole, drive that in, and we'll see if we line this up well. We may be remounting it. We made it. And I dropped it. Now, as this is wet wood, you go around a couple times. Be sure you get it good and locked in. Wet wood will compress easier than dry wood does. So you'll get it locked in, think you got it, and then next thing you know, it's coming loose and flying out at you. A bunch of stuff you don't want happening. All right. So we can continue on with the traditional tools. We could switch over to easy woods as well, which we may do a little later. This is just evening up the face. There we go. For those of you who are just now coming in, this is pretty much what we started with. A little smaller piece than this. And this is where we're at right now. So now we're just going to get the center turned out. Zoom you back in here so you can have a decent view. Thanks, Raja. Akum, welcome in. Pilato, yeah, I drop things all over my shop. Constantly throwing things on the ground. And I think you guys can see all right now. We'll get the flashlight out here if we need it. You guys can't see that though. Zoom me out a little bit so you can kind of see the shavings fly. YouTube limits your viewer count because you have less than 1,000 subscribers. Yeah, it does. And one of these days I'll be over 1,000. But welcome in. Whoa, whoa. All right, we're going to see how we're doing here. All right, thickness wise. Right there. Yeah, we can definitely go down further than that. Hey, Joy, thanks for coming in. Phyllis, Brunswick, Georgia, thanks for coming in. All right. As far as our thickness, we're probably not going to go much thinner than that because this is wet wood and it's going to warp. But we can go a little thinner on the base. We just got to make sure that we don't make it we, we don't make it too deep and become part of the funnel club again. That would be bad. Remember, I've got a recess down underneath there. Which I think we can still go a little further. Not a whole lot though, because I got to leave enough material to be able to get it back to round after it warps. Yeah. All right, I think that's going to be probably about as far as we're going to take this. And just so you guys can have a better understanding of what I'm talking about, this is a bowl I did during my last live, right here. And I don't know if you guys will be able to see it from there as to how warped it got. And this has only been about a week, if that. But it was perfectly flat when I was done. So that's the type of warping you can expect from wet wood. So now if I took that down to a final thickness, say something like this, after it warped, I would never get it back to round. This is a cherry bowl I did a couple lives ago. But since this was dried wood, it's still just as flat as it was the day I made it. So we'll go ahead and pop this off, give you guys a look, and then what I think we're going to do is we might make us another twig pot out of that. So let's get him out of here. Give you guys a look at it. There's the recess I was talking about. So that recess goes over those jaws. Those jaws expand into that to hold it while it spins. Quasimodo, welcome. So we're going to set this guy aside, pop this guy off. We will use the chuck again later. Bring up our tailstock. And go with the ring drive center. Looks like a good center. And maybe right about there. I don't think I've ever had a problem with YouTube limiting my live view, even though I'm under 1,000. I got a message about it, Pilato, from YouTube that says I'm limited until we get over 1,000 subscribers. We're gonna have to deal with that first. That means this guy's gonna run a little rough. Right, bounce around a bit, get you guys. You can see the whole thing bouncing right now. We'll go to our spindle roughing gouge. Now this, best guess is birch. This came from the same neighbor. He had 2 trees taken down. But like I said, best guess, I think it might be birch. It's gonna be a little slow going here while we get rid of this branch. See how we're doing. Getting close. There we go. Robert G, how's it going, sir? Ramesh, welcome in. There we go. Yeah, still got a little bit of bark, but we can get that off once it's over on the chuck. There we go. There you go. Now you can see. Use my cheater. Way too big. It's probably close enough. Again, doing that because my jaws are dovetailed. And we'll get him turned around. See if we can do it this time without dropping something. Again, like I said, it is wet wood, so we really want to crank down on that. Wet wood does compress. We don't want anything flying off and hitting us in the face. Phyllis, this is going to be what's called a twig pot. So twig pots, see if I can't zoom you, bring you over here, are basically these little pots, and you have these little basically test tubes that go inside of them, like that. Pop the cork off, and you take flower cuttings and put them in there. You can paint them, stain them, do whatever you want to do with them. They're just neat little things. I've made a couple for my wife, similar in this design, so I'm thinking about making this one basically almost start out narrow, come out kind of fat, and then come back over to where the hole will meet up. Things flying off may be more entertaining. I've had that happen on a couple lives. I've tossed a cherry bowl. This guy. Let's see if you can see the. That was the aftermath of that, and that was over 1,000 revs. He got cracked as well. I don't know if that's coming up on camera. So anytime you're over 1,000 RPM, things fly upward. If you're under 1,000, they tend to just drop down. So this one was over 1,000. He sailed across the shop, and well, he's now a shop bowl. Oh yeah, when Mike had, yeah, I think that one hit him in the face though. That's really not fun. Let's see if we can get you back to about where you were. I'm not going there. All right. Let's see our size-wise, where this has got to be. If we leave that. So if we decide to go right there, give it a little bit for top side, you're right about there. We'll go ahead and part this thing off. Janus, how's it going? Thanks for coming in. No blood, you are okay. And, well, no blood tonight. I can tell you. Easy wood tools are sharp. Got to be careful with those. We're going to need to get higher than that. Right about there. There we go. Yeah, we can go back to our half-inch bowl gouge. Spindle gouge, bowl gouge, they all work in this situation. I'm on that bark, aren't I? Yeah, that's why we're bouncing. We could actually do this a little faster. Going back to the rough and gouge. Probably shouldn't try to do that with that tool. MD Media, how you doing, sir? Welcome in. All right. Still got that bark up there. That's fine. Oh, I still got some mass on this thing. We're going to go ahead and drill that hole. All right, Pilato, you have a good one, sir? All right, so that takes a 1-inch bit. And this is another one of those, since it is wet wood, a speed bore. Spade bit works a heck of a lot better than a Forstner. Forstners work great in dry wood. Not so great, they tend to clog up in the wet woods. All right, make sure you guys are going to have the best view. Probably somewhere right in here. All right. All right, should be just about there. Test it here in just a second. See how we did. Might need to extend that bit a little bit. Where is... Not quite deep enough. We're going to extend that bit just a touch. Which is easy enough to do. Nothing more than loosen it, extend it out, and lock it back down. Okay. And bring out the big guns. So that fits about perfect. Now we got to get it more vase shaped. Let's see, we can definitely take a little more off up here. I don't like the way that sounds. So we're going to bring up some support. Come on. Okay. There we go. Jacob's check off. Different live center. I suppose we could use the other one still. They just fit inside. Let's take a peek. Yeah, that'll work. Before we go and do that, give this a quick little round over. How's that looking? That's looking pretty good. Come on, you. That'll keep that. Getting too squirrely on us. Mike Stanifer, how you doing, sir? Mike with the Whack and Shack, what's going on, man? We were talking about you earlier. We were discussing, so I've had a couple things fly off my lathe, and somebody brought up you, and I was like, yeah, I believe he has too. Definitely not a fun experience. So I'm making a twig pot. So basically similar, whoops, I bumped you. Steady. There we go. One of these, just in a different shape. Of course, you put your cut off flowers and water in there. Made the wife a couple of these, so this is just going to be in a different shape. Hoping that doesn't mess me up too bad, but we'll find out. This is some very wet wood. I believe me and Mike Stanifer came up with it was most likely birch. Got it from a neighbor. Maybe let's make something. Let's see. I think that bit of bark's going to mess up the shape I'm trying to get. Let's shift over for the skew, see if he doesn't work a little bit better. That gives us some long stringies. I don't like it. I think we are going to stick with our 1/2 inch bowl hole gouge, and just keep going at it. A lot of bounce. What is up with that? Oh, that's probably why I'm getting so much bounce in that area. Trying to go through a knot. This would be about a perfect opportunity. Shift over to Easy Wood, because that is just going to go right through that. Dan, what's going on, man? Scott, thanks for coming in. See, no bounce whatsoever in that knot area using the Easy Wood tool. Can you guys even see that? There, that should give you a little better view. So what I'm doing right now with the Easy Wood tool, typically they're meant to be used perpendicular like that, but you can twist them up on edge, present it at a 45, and you get these nice long slices. Take a peek here. I'm liking that. I'm liking that a lot. We're going to grab the other Easy Wood style tool, which has a diamond point on it. Give it some little embellishments. Just like that. see here. I think what we are also going to set up for is to do a little carving on this later. Which will be what that's for. Speed it up. At this point, not so much necessary. But you're right, Easy Wood does like to cut better at speed. Now I'm just going to sharpen those up. There and there. This has got a lot of drying to do before we're really going to be able to do any sort of finishing on it. But my thought process is to use a carving chisel. He's coming here at an angle. And you do that, and then you paint that black acrylic and put a chameleon flake over the top in an acrylic size. I think that'll look pretty good. And those are deep enough to handle a little leather cord. Get glued in. Look like that. You probably pick one of the darker cords. Where's he at? Right here. So look like that, and probably put another one down at the base to kind of draw it all together. I think it'll look pretty cool. Like I said, that's not going to be for a couple weeks though, because this has to dry out. Put this back up over here. So, and as it dries, it is going to warp. So once it has dried, I'll have to basically turn it again to bring it back to round. One more turn. Like I said, and then the wife can load it up with off-cut flowers or whatever else she wants to do with it. And here's the little bowl we made earlier. Like I said, same thing. He's wet wood, so he will need to dry. As he dries, he will warp. Those who weren't in earlier, show you that again. Whoop. That's about as low as I can get you. So this is one I did a week ago. He was perfectly flat when I did it. And you can see he is most certainly not flat anymore, and he's still not dry. So he's going to warp even more. But as I said, once he's completely dry, we turn it again. We left enough material on there to be able to do that. put it in a box with some of its own shavings to slow the drying process. It may not warp as well. I might give that a shot. And just for comparison, when it's dry wood, like these two were, no warping at all. So we did these on a live a couple weeks ago. One was mahogany, one was cherry. But oh, what turned so much easier. So much easier. That was all dry or clean when we started. Oh, it is full of shavings now. Hey, woodchucker, how you doing? And like I said, I still got quite the little stack over there I got to get through. So if you guys are enjoying this kind of thing, I'm often out here late night turning. Feel free to do the YouTube stuff and like and hit the thumb, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and maybe we'll see you out here again. But with that being said, I think I am done for the evening. Made two little, what's that, a little twig pot, little bowl, both wet wood. We're going to have to let them dry before we can finish them off. So guys, y'all have a good night. Take care, and we'll see you next time. All right, later. Let's see this button.